Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. We're not in the spooky season, but we're going to be looking at a spooky TV movie today. So 1979 was a good year for vampire fans. Well, I mean, depending on how much you liked the movies and TV that you got that year. In the theaters, Frank Langella was playing Dracula. If that wasn't your bag, you had Werner Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire, starring Klaus Kinski. On the lighter side, we had George Hamilton in Love at First Bite. And, of course, the TV miniseries Salem's Lot. Huge hit. Scared the crap out of me as a kid. But I'm not going to be talking about any of these today. I'm going to be talking about yet another vampire project from 1979. Vampire. Maybe a somewhat forgotten TV movie, but one that I must admit really kind of impressed me. It aired as an ABC Sunday night movie on October 7th, 1979. And I think it does have a lot going for it. It was written by Stephen Bochco and Michael Kozel. And Bochco was also the executive producer of Vampire. Now, he's best known for cop shows like Hill Street Blues, NYPD Blue, also Cop Rock, also did LA Law, Doogie Howser, MD. So look, the guy is a pro. He does really good work. Kozel wrote for Hill Street Blues also, but he also did Quincy, McCloud, Kolchak the Night Stalker. Oh, maybe that's the little connection here. The TV movie is directed by E.W. Swackhammer, who, aside from having one of the greatest names in human history, did tons of great television. So we got a lot of talent behind this one. And between the three of them, Vampire has a feel somewhat distinctive from other vampire movies. It's not so moody and atmospheric. Like, it's sort of like almost like a gritty cop show, but with, people tracking down a vampire. Doesn't romanticize. It can be very blunt in its portrayal of evil. Vampire benefits, in my opinion, from the performances in it. Great authenticity from them. So we're going to look at our cast, starting with our vampire, Anton Wojtek, played by Richard Lynch. If you're Gen X, you got to know this guy. He was in tons of stuff, oftentimes as villains. Invasion USA comes right to mind. Did a lot of films and television, though, and was always really good in them. And his scarred appearance helps. It gives him this sort of unearthly, odd appearance, but without looking like straight up monstrous. And I think it helps that he didn't need like a lot of makeup to get that vampiric look. And he has this really steely performance. It's brutal even when he's being charming. Really worked for me. You don't get any like long, drawn out villainous monologues. Wojtek is a predator preying on human beings, especially women, and again, it's got that sort of cop show feel. We're not going to romanticize this guy at all. And he isn't quite the darkly romantic vampire that we often get these days. Again, he sees people as a blood source, as pawns. He doesn't fall in love with them. He may have some lusts, but he enraptures women with the hypnotic eyes, so they're not falling in love with him. They are controlled. So this is against their will, what he's doing. And they don't pretend in this show that, that it's really not. His introduction in the movie, I thought was very effective. It's him sort of climbing and bursting up out of the ground. There's this kind of growling and roaring. It's really a creepy noise. He's been buried for 30 years, awakened by the shadow of a cross that fell over the ground where he was buried. So very effective. And we're going to learn in the movie that Wojtek came to America a long time ago, really kind of to escape World War II, hunted in San Francisco back in the 1940s. One of the police officers who pursued him then is going to be pursuing him in 1979 as well. Remember, World War II was not that long ago in terms of 1979, something we kind of talked about in my review of the final countdown. So let's take a look, now that we've met the vampire, at some of his victims. All three are women. And this, I think, kind of points to something the writers of the show were going for. Again, they have, an obvious interest in procedurals and cop shows. And women are obviously oftentimes victimized in crimes. So first up, Nicole DeCamp, the hottest lady lawyer in San Francisco, played by the great Jessica Walter. DeCamp is sort of our Renfield in this one. She's Wojtek's introduction to the movers and shakers of modern San Francisco. She facilitates also the creation of his hiding places, which is going to be a big deal, as he is hunted down by our heroes. Leslie Rollins, victim number 2. And here, we're going to throw on the spoilers. I'm trying to keep this as unspoilery as, possible, but it's a little bit difficult in certain places. Played by Kathryn Harrold. She was in a great episode of Rockford Files, played this blind psychiatrist. Go look for that one. She's the wife of architect John Rollins, and she is going to, at a certain point, be murdered by Wojtek, and that is going to propel Rollins into the vampire hunting business. And that particular scene and that killing, kind of shocking, kind of effective. Now, it's an old TV movie. You're not going to see anything. It's not going to be really gory and bloody, but he uses his powers again to twist people and make them vulnerable. And apparently what he leaves of her after he's been there was sort of shocking even to the police, and especially to her husband, who found the body. So, it's a strong scene. And it was one of the ones that made me go, wow, this is actually a really, really impressive piece of work. Our third victim is Andrea Parker, played by Barrie Youngfellow, maybe best known for being on It's a Living, it's a comedy. Wojtek targets her to keep his pursuers at bay. So there's kind of a reason to some degree about what he's doing to these women. It's not just purely like animal lust or hunting people. There's points to it. She's a single mom, works as a cocktail waitress. And there's kind of a spark when she meets John Rollins. And this is after John has lost his wife, which gives her kind of a connection to him emotionally, and also to E.G. Marshall's character of Henry Kilcoyne. He's a neighbor, watches her son for her when she's at work. So I've kind of mentioned them, but let's talk about our vampire hunters. First, we have John Rollins, played by Jason Miller, architect on this church project, and it's the cross at that church project that sort of awakens, Wojtek. So he makes the mistake of crossing Anton Wojtek, who he thinks is guilty of art theft. And this is explained in the TV movie. So go watch it and you'll see. But this is what brings on his revenge in killing Rollins' wife. And he becomes obsessed with tracking down and killing Wojtek. And it's through contact with the police, and not really the kind of contact you'd want, that he becomes involved more deeply with Henry Kilcoyne. Now, Kilcoyne, played by E.G. Marshall, was the police detective in the 1940s who was hunting down Wojtek the first time. So they don't waste a lot of time in this movie establishing between the two protagonists that they're after a vampire and that this is going to involve coffins and stakes, etc. They keep a pretty good pacing through it. I mean, it's not a fast pace, but it works. It keeps moving forward. They don't bog it down with a lot of that kind of stuff of a vampire. Why there's a little bit of that, but it doesn't go too far. The heart of the film then really is Kilcoyne and Rollins pursuing Wojtek, looking for the places he has hidden coffins in and around San Francisco. And when Wojtek kidnaps Andrea, this raises the stakes, no pun intended, and gives them a shorter timeline in which they have to find him and get the job done if they're going to save her. And again, you do get that kind of gritty realism of these cops. Now, in the end, it all comes down to a cemetery at night, and it's a really interesting ending, and I'm not going to spoil that here, so we'll keep the spoiler sign on, but yeah, you really should watch this thing. Now, as far as I can tell, this film was never released on videotape or DVD. And the only DVD copy that I found on eBay was clearly somebody who just burned it onto a DVD, probably got it off of YouTube. The copy that I found on YouTube obviously was videotaped maybe back in 1979. I don't know if they ever replayed this thing. They might have. So the quality is not that great. It's one of the reasons I didn't show tons of images from it. But it's watchable. And again, I think it is really worth watching. It's a kind of different take on the vampire thing. There are tropes that we're used to, but it's kind of the feel, the vibe of the thing is a little different. And I just really like the tone of the show. Watching it, you're just kind of, oh, okay, that's different. That's not exactly what I expected. Doesn't feel kind of old and played out like so many things. And there are some really good scenes in it. And I really didn't get deeply into that, but there's some really effective scenes. Really got me here. Good acting. I think well directed. And I'd love to see a cleaned up version because I think a cleaned up version would also look really good. So there you have it, folks. Vampire from 1979, a TV movie on ABC, Sunday night movie. Go, if you can find it, go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you're into vampire stuff. And, again, it's a TV movie. It's not real gory, but it is pretty darn effective when you get down to it. Hey, if this is one you've seen, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. If you enjoyed this little review, maybe give it a like. Maybe think of subscribing to my channel. Maybe share with a friend, and that would be very, very groovy. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Watch Vampire for a little scare. And I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.